Dear friends, you are watching Worldwide Vehicles. Today we are going to discuss about the sinking of Titanic ship. At 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, the British ocean liner Titanic sinks into the North Atlantic Ocean about 400 miles south of Newfoundland, Canada. The massive ship, which carried 2,200 passengers and crew, had struck an iceberg 2.5 hours before. On April 10, the RMS Titanic, one of the largest and most luxurious ocean liner ever built, on its maiden voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. The Titanic was designed by the Irish shipbuilder William Peary and built in Belfast. It was divided into 16 compartments that were presumed to be watertight because four of these compartments could be flooded without causing a critical loss. The Titanic was considered unsinkable. While leaving port, the ship came within a couple of feet of the steamer New York but passed safely by, causing a general sigh of relief from the passengers massed on Titanic's deck. On its first journey across the highly competitive Atlantic ferry route, the ship carried some 2,200 passengers and crew. After stopping at Cherbourg, France, and Ireland to pick up some final passengers, the massive vessel set out at full speed for New York City. However, just before midnight on April 14, the RMS Titanic failed to divert its course from an iceberg and ruptured at least five of its hull compartments. These compartments filled with water and pulled down the bow of the ship. Because the Titanic's compartments were not capped at the top, water from the ruptured compartments filled each succeeding compartment, causing the bow to sink and the stern to be raised up to an almost vertical position above the water. Then the Titanic broke in half, and at about 2:20 a.m. on April 15, stern and bow sank to the ocean floor. Because of the shortage of lifeboats and the lack of satisfactory emergency procedures, more than 1,500 people went down in the sinking ship or frozen to death in the city North Atlantic waters. Most of the 700 or so survivors were women and children. A number of notable American and British citizens died in the tragedy. 1 hour and 20 minutes after Titanic went down, the Cunard liner Carpathia arrived. The survivors in the lifeboats were brought aboard, and a handful of others were pulled out of the water. It was later discovered that the Leyland liner Californian had been less than 20 miles away at the time of the accident, but had failed to hear the Titanic's distress signals because its radio operator was off duty. Announcement of details of the tragedy led to outrage on both sides of the Atlantic. In the disaster's aftermath, the first international convention for safety of the life at sea was held in 1913. Rules were adopted requiring that every ship have lifeboat space for each person on board and that lifeboat drills be held. An international ice patrol was established to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic shipping lanes. It was also required that ships maintain a 24-hour radio watch. On September 1, 1985, a joint US-French expedition located the wreck of the Titanic lying on the ocean floor at a depth of about 13,000 feet. The ship was explored by manned and unmanned submersibles, which shed new light on the details of its sinking. At that time, the total amount required to build the ship was $7.5 million and $200 million with inflation. About 3,000 employees had worked to build the ship. Titanic ship was 882 feet and 9 inches long and 92 feet 6 inches wide at its widest point. Ship entire height was 104 feet from the keel to the top of the bridge. Ship weighed 46,328 tons and displaced 52,310 tons with a draught of 34 feet 7 inches. All three Olympic class ships featured 10 decks, with 8 of them dedicated to passenger usage. The decks were from top to bottom. The passengers' facilities on the Titanic were designed to meet the highest luxury standards. The Titanic could accommodate 833 first class passengers, 614 second class passengers, and 1006 third class passengers, with a total passenger capacity of 2453.